hosting. Alright, we're live with Meme Time Episode 3. Meme Ideas Meme Time Episode 3. With your host, Champion.
Why are you the host?
Because
And
I
Jesse.
created
And
with
Jesse.
regular contributors Kel and William. And tonight we have Jesse in the background somewhere and Jonathan.
How's it going?
Okay, our first topic for tonight is Guantanamo is force feeding.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
Can we talk about something fun? Does that be boring politics shit every single time? Why do you think I never come to this? It's stupid.
We can go on.
Four of us talking about Guantanamo prison or whatever the hell.
Okay, so anyways, Guantanamo prison, which is still open, by the way.
He said he was closing it.
Yeah, I thought Obama said he was closing it. Well, anyways, Guantanamo is still open, and the prisoners that are there
Got a lot of problems with you people.
are on a hunger strike, and so because they're on a hunger strike, they are being force-fed by being tied to chairs, restrained in chairs, and being gavaged, which sounds delicious if it's
What is
with
that
regards
word?
to geese.
Divide?
But with humans is kind of actually disturbing.
Well, I don't actually know what it is.
What?
Explain it to me.
Gavage,
Yeah.
where you put a tube down
Oh, that. Yeah.
someone's throat and
I thought they were saying garbaging. So,
Hey, what's your website? Or this is broadcast.
memeideas.com. Memeideas.com. MEME ideas.com. Everyone tune in. So, how do people feel about prisoners being force-fed?
It sounds horrible.
Force fed what?
Anything.
anything nutrients. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's probably sludge that they wouldn't even
I mean,
feed
they
them
should
out.
eat. Force fed, what do you mean? Is it like a form of torture, or are they trying to help them so they don't die?
They're on a hunger strike. The prisoners are on a hunger strike. And so to keep them from dying, they're forcing the guards
Yeah,
at
what's wrong?
Guantanamo.
Okay, discussion
force
over.
feeding.
Next question.
Are you okay
Wrong.
with that?
Yeah, it's
Can
wrong.
Jesse be on screen?
Jesse not being on stream.
No, Jesse's
Just
not
turn
being.
the camera this way a little bit. I'm like right behind Kel. Look, there.
Okay,
You're on
Jesse's
camera.
on screen.
Why don't you turn the camera? You got all that wasted space.
Yeah, there's a lot of dead space on the side of your screen, champ.
Jonathan, do you have an input?
There
Now
we
the screens
go.
overlap.
So
The screens
hard.
overlap.
Yeah.
So hard.
So, anyways, force feeding at Guantanamo.
Yes, that. Okay, what's the next question?
The next question is still the first one.
I mean, if they want to
Still
wait.
I haven't really scratched the surface of it.
Should they just let them die? Well, I think that's the question. If it's their will to die, like, are they
That's
supposed to?
illegal here. You can't do that.
Well,
you can't kill yourself.
First of all, should they still be held
Maybe they should
at
throw them in
Guantanamo?
jail.
Should they be
Maybe they
held?
should throw them in jail.
Should they be held at Guantanamo to begin with?
Hey, what's the big deal? Prison's a prison. What do they do?
What did they do?
What did
That's
they
the
do?
question, Jesse.
That's a good question, Jesse.
I have often
That's
wondered
something really
if
bad.
at Guantanamo there is at least one downside to prison that they do get to avoid by being in that one.
Rape.
Yeah, well, I was going to let everybody use their imagination. But who knows? Maybe it's through the roof.
You don't think rape goes on in Guantanamo?
Probably not in the ways it does in, like, San Quentin.
Because they had pictures, they had photos from Abu Ghraib where that looked like rape.
No, a lot of those pictures were, I mean, it was still wrong they did, but were like pretty much staged. And what actually occurred, they were trying to break those prisoners, but it wasn't as bad as things sound. It was all those people that were in those pictures, you got to remember, were being told by people like Donald Rumsfeld basically what to do. So, I mean, they shouldn't have just gone along with it, but they're grunts, being asked to do.
Okay, Donald Rumsfeld.
So much.
No, no.
There's so much good sports on right now that I'm missing for this.
Okay, so that's so we can discuss that. Donald Rumsfeld being the person, was he or was he not responsible for what went on at Abu Ghraib?
I don't necessarily think it's him. It's just
What's Abu
through the
Ghraib?
chain of command, it gets down to these lowly grunts, and they're basically, they'll tell them to do some of that, and they go on with it. I mean, they took the pictures. That's probably the bad part.
I mean, some of the pictures are pretty disturbing. Like,
Yeah, no, it was all set up.
the
Like,
human centipede looking one.
There was no like sexual abuse or anything. They're told.
I mean, that's what it looked like.
Yeah,
That's what some of them look like.
well, it's not. All those people were really. I mean, it was really bad that that they humiliated them like that, but they were basically put up to it by everybody above them, and then most of them were got off because they couldn't prove that they really did anything terrible. But one like the guy that was in charge of all the lowlier people, he's supposed to be getting out pretty soon because they can't hold him too much longer. But he took the fall for things that people way above him should have taken the fall for. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just there's a lot of misconception about
that's how
Abu
people-
Ghraib.
That's how people get off all the time, is because you can't, like, I mean, yes, there's innocence until proven guilty, but, like, people who are in the political class or, I guess, government class, like, are basically immune from law. Like, they don't,
Yeah, I know that's what I'm saying.
they don't get tried. They
I'm saying that guy's taking the fall. I don't. He has a very catchy last name. I forget what it is, but he's taking the fall for.
is it Kinehea or something?
Could be.
The Hawaii guy?
No, this guy's like.
Talking to someone else?
Yeah. So, I'm not condoning what happened. I just what we saw in the photographs are basically setups. What's really happening there? Were those people that were in those photographs weren't doing. It was other people doing it. Taking them into the room and the real torture and the psychological breakdown and the people that were being held for absolutely no reason at Abu Ghraib. That wasn't done by any of those people that were in those
How do you
photos.
know all this?
Because I watched a very wonderful documentary about it called Standard Operating Procedure, made by Errol Morris, one of the greatest filmmakers ever. Right, William?
I know he did like the Thin Blue Line, didn't he?
Yeah, he's done a lot of
I haven't
seen docs. He's done a lot of films. But after I watched it, I started reading about it and looking for it in the news a lot. But anyways, Guantanamo, U.S. soil. Obama said he was going to close that, right?
Yeah, he said he was going to close that.
You have access to.
Look, I think like, I mean, to me, it's obvious what he's doing. He's just gonna hold them until right before
Who's that guy?
presidency ends, because he doesn't want to get blamed just in case like somebody leaves and then does anything. So he's probably gonna let them go like 3 months before he's done with being president. I think that's what's gonna happen. And right now they're obviously trying to feed them, force feed them so that they don't die.
Keep him alive.
Yeah.
So you think they're going to let him go before he leaves office?
Yeah.
As like kind of an end of his office? Like,
Yeah, kind of like a presidential pardon for
okay.
not being,
I mean, I could see that. I can actually see that being the case.
Are you allowed to use presidential pardons on prisoners of war, which is
that haven't
technically
been
what they are?
charged with anything.
Well,
No,
I thought the presidential pardons were were reserved for like U.S. court cases.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's like a pseudo presidential pardon. They haven't been charged, but
How would that make him? That would actually kind of make him look bad. Like, I was just holding them so that I would go out looking good.
Yeah,
I
like
think he just doesn't want to get blamed for anything that any of these prisoners might do or might not do. I think that's he's just trying to get, like, imagine like if one of these guys were to be involved in any related to Benghazi or something like that. If he was even like close to something like that.
So you're saying, like, if you let him go today and 3 weeks from now they do something, he'll have to feel the heat from that during his presidency. But if he waits to the end of his presidency and he lets him go, and 3 weeks after he's gone they do something, well, that's going to be for Jeb Bush or whoever to deal with.
Yeah. I think that's. I mean, when he's done, I don't think he's gonna care. You know, one way or the other.
Unless, of course, he gets that third term.
Am I right, everybody?
Yes, he would vote for him.
You're right. Hopefully.
I mean, so, but they aren't held on any particular grounds, right? So, like, why are they still being held? Why are they currently being held? Why are there currently prisoners on hunger strike in Guantanamo Bay still at this time? Like, is it just something that, unless
I think from now on, I'm just gonna go hang out with Carlo.
unless we do something
boring and shit.
about it, they're gonna, like, are they just gonna languish there?
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Didn't I think the article said something about? What was it?
Oh.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go on. What were you saying, William?
I'm trying to find what I was looking for in the article.
All right, Jesse,
Yeah.
you're out.
Come out.
Yeah, you're gonna watch like it's distracting.
I'll turn it down.
You don't have to hear it. You can see the ball go in.
There.
Okay, that's fine.
What were you saying, William?
I'm trying to find it in the article. Hold on.
Okay, well, here's that I will say. Imagine your job is that you're a prison guard in another prison, and you have some prisoners there who are on a hunger strike, and it gets to a point where, you know, it turns to the worst, or it's been quite a while that they've held out the meeting. Or not even the prison guard, but just the staff of the prison, the coordinators of the prison. What do you do? Do you let them die? Do you force feed them? I mean, how do you intervene with that?
I mean, I think that speaks to the state of our prisons in America. If we have prisoners who are going on hunger strikes, like,
I don't know. I can imagine, regardless of the country, there's always going to be a prison
do
that's
something
hunger
wrong. There are some people in prison that deserve to be.
I don't know. They're still allowed. I mean, a lot of them, most of them probably are under the law as we know it right now. Most of them probably do deserve to be in prison. But I mean, that doesn't mean that they don't have the right to go on some sort of a strike. You
Yeah.
always have that right.
they always have the right.
Do you?
Yes,
Yes,
Why?
because you're a person with
because they're a
free will.
human being with conscience.
Well,
With
you
a,
chose poorly.
living
You ended up in prison, so you gave up your freedom by committing crime.
But even within the prison, you still retain certain rights, and that's one of them.
but I mean,
Yeah,
okay, so
it's not.
so we can discuss the prison
Because
system.
they're forcing feeding them.
I mean, Jesse,
Maybe they gave that up.
we can discuss the prison system in general. Like, I mean, most of the people that are in prison are low socioeconomic people whose lives have been spent in horrible
Right.
conditions.
They got a raw deal, you're right. But they still did things that got put them there. Like, what are you supposed to do then? Just let everybody go because they had a shitty childhood? Like,
No.
What
At
are you
least-
supposed to do?
Jesse, wouldn't you say, like, I mean, wouldn't you rather have a prison system, like, okay, let's say you have people that are robbing and murdering and raping and stuff like that.
Okay, let's just say they're drug dealers.
Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
non-violent
Let's
drug
just say
dealers.
they're drug
Okay, let's talk about drug dealers.
Drug dealers,
Wouldn't it be better to get them into a prison that rehabilitates them, gets them job training, gets them
Okay, how? That's
Huh?
what I'm asking. How? What's your solution?
Educate them.
It's like, we
You
can sit here
educate them
and
in
whine about it being wrong and all this crap all day long, but unless you have some sort of solution, what's the point?
try to offer them different chances and new opportunities.
Yeah.
Good opportunity.
make prison something that basically you strip them of their rights, but if they, like, you know, you put them in the cell, but if they go out and they get job training, if they sign up for job training in the prison, or they sign up for education programs, or they go through therapy or socialization
Do
process.
that.
I mean, I could see like
We
the
do
public.
that.
I can see like the public education system being moved into the prison system, and that would be more humane, like
Yeah.
for everyone, since the public education system is not the best system for children, I don't think, and
Not really.
and it would probably be more humane for prisoners. We could probably have prisoners be treated to the public education system, and that would be better than what they have now, I assume.
Yeah, it would be better. But I mean, that's all costs money. Like, we already waste enough money on a bunch of criminals to begin with.
We spend money on
the first thing we can do is make one of the things that put so many of these people behind bars legal, so we don't waste money and waste opportunities and waste people's lives by sticking them in there in the first place. If we legalize all drugs, those populations would go way down.
Yes, they would.
So that's the first step, is legalize all drugs. I think every last drug should be legalized. Yeah. Even smoking fiberglass covered in gasoline.
Okay, I know. But, I mean, talking about like making a better society, you're gonna have a bunch of heroin addicts running.
No, I prefer that society to a society with a top-down control mechanism where if you decide to put something in your body by your own choice, they come and throw you in a cell and call you a criminal.
Well, yeah, wait, Jesse, having a bunch of heroin addicts run around like
they are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know any heroin addicts that love to get up and run around?
Yeah.
Stumble around.
I don't know. I don't see a lot of heroin addicts running around now.
Right.
And I know there are heroin addicts.
I'd be all willy-nilly if everybody.
Who are heroin addicts actually hurting themselves? We know that.
But then they rob and steal and buy heroin.
And then they go to jail for the robbing or the stealing.
Then they would go to jail for robbing or stealing, Jesse.
The reason why heroin is so expensive is because it's illegal.
That's why they're doing heroin.
Wait,
and now it's legal.
Jesse,
no.
Let William talk.
Jesse, a lot of the reason why heroin's as expensive as it is because it's illegal. So if you make it legal and you have heroin that's pure and
crack's cheap as fuck. People still
what?
for that.
Because it's illegal. They can't go to the store and get it cheaply, or they can't get it prescribed to them.
Why? I don't think
Might come to that in a better society.
Okay.
Crack. Come get your crack from me, but you're going to have to listen to me talk about how shitty it is before I give it.
I mean, that's astonishing.
I'm kind of surprised that Jesse's the one here who thinks that drugs should be illegal.
Yeah, odd, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
Jonathan, do you think that drugs should be legal?
Yeah, I actually recently changed my mind about that in the last election when Colorado switched, and I can't remember the other state that switched. Yeah, I was really opposed to having any kind of legal drug. But just having that idea that, you know, it's people's business and we're just contributing to having more violence on the street because they're illegal, it really, I mean, just having people talking about it, it made me change my mind. I was really, really opposed to it before. Especially because, you know, I'm a teacher and I see, you know, kids that I have that have access to drugs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I think I was really entangled in that personal storyline of, like, you know, kids of mine being or having access to drugs. But I think, you know, having like a big picture of it, I think now I see why people will think it. I see why it's better to have them legalized than not.
Well, another thing to say, if like your concern is the children getting access to drugs, I mean, if you have people who are by definition of their job of selling drugs, breaking the law already, they obviously probably won't have any qualms about selling drugs to children in the first place. Whereas if you legalize it, then you know, like liquor, kids can't walk into a liquor store.
Kids beer.
Yeah, they do, and that's a different issue.
Get access to drugs now, Jesse.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, kids can get access to drugs now, and they could.
I'm not even saying I
but
agree.
the problem is if you're, I mean, going from the source itself, no kid's going to be able to walk into a place and buy pot or heroin or something like that. Somebody would have to buy it for them, and certainly that's going to happen, just like it does with alcohol. But I mean, if you're talking about keeping it away from kids, there's no incentive for a drug dealer to not just sell to children because it's just more people that they can get to in their marketplace.
Let's give it a shot. Let's legalize everything. See what happens.
Jesse, in all honesty, I'm pretty sure it would be a great step forward if
It would be better.
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll never go.
Oh, Jesse, hold on, Jesse.
They told me
William,
the
I don't
first
even
time.
disagree with you.
No, I just want to ask you a question. Would you, because you said something about like heroin addicts walking around everywhere, would you do heroin if it was legal?
No.
Okay.
All right. That's probably what
If I
most.
wanted to do heroin, I would have done it by now.
That's probably the case with most people. If somebody's going,
Why does it matter?
they probably.
Don't do it. It's like, you don't.
I'm waiting until I'm 40.
That's the argument. That's the argument for it being legal. Is if you're gonna do it either way, might as well make it legal.
I just don't know why y'all care about everything so much.
Why don't you care about
You
anything?
too.
I
That's the
know.
thing, is you're just trying
You
to play
care
off.
about yourself at least,
I do
right?
care about myself.
So
yes.
I consider caring about myself, so also caring about everybody else.
I mean, I care about my friends. We went over this last time.
Yeah, but we didn't go over it on tape.
We have to get it on tape.
We have a
Real
video
tall man.
camera running.
Horrible person. I thought you did have it on tape. Oh, it's just recorded?
Yeah, it's on tape. We got it on VHS.
I got it on an old reel. We're gonna set it up.
Everything's fine.
So let's what else we got to talk about tonight?
Okay, so
It's fine.
So the second aspect of the Guantanamo thing was that Anonymous has threatened. They were threatening to hack Guantanamo's, I guess, Wi-Fi service. So
Who's anonymous?
Anonymous is an anonymous group of people.
It's a hacker
What are they
syndicate.
like?
It's a hacker
Are they like
syndicate,
people? Are they like
Loosely
libertarian?
probably.
a loosely organized hacker syndicate.
Yeah.
Loosely organized.
Apparently, no real hierarchy.
And there's no real hierarchy that we know of.
Well, that's because they're anonymous. So you don't really know anything about them. I think that's their entire.
But because they were threatening to hack Guantanamo, they took down the
website.
Websites.
You can't watch people being force fed on your
Hold on.
smartphone anymore.
They
The Guantanamo app.
well, that's the question. They took down internet access to Guantanamo, so we don't have any internet access about what's going on at Guantanamo.
Do they have
And
internet access there?
one of the significant things that happened is lawyers representing Guantanamo inmates, their documents were erased from the defendant's files and placed on the prosecutor's files. So what is the significance of that?
They were.
Why did
Wait.
Anonymous do that?
Do what?
Why did they do that?
I mean, I'm guessing
Was
that.
that their intention? I guess what I'm asking.
I mean, I'm guessing it was someone's intention. Like, I don't think Anonymous did. I think the government probably did.
And blamed it on Anonymous?
I think.
Oh, you're saying that they opened the files and that's what they discovered? That they had switched.
Oh,
There was an internet glitch that caused the lawyers representing Guantanamo inmates to lose documents that wound up on the prosecutor's computer. So someone,
Oh,
I
so the
would imagine
other side of the case got to see the other side's information.
Yeah, I would imagine someone set that up.
Really sensitive about all this Guantanamo stuff.
Whether it was Anonymous or the government or someone. I mean, that's pretty bad because
Is it a breach of security or is it all just a...
I would say it's at minimum a breach of security, if not also the government making sure that the Guantanamo inmates have as little defense as possible.
You're seeing the government as using Anonymous as an agent against itself.
Actually, there is a conspiracy that
Well, yeah,
goes along with that, but
I'm
we
sure.
we can go into that if you want.
I'm sure, and thank God every last end is looked to. But well, we can go into that conspiracy, but I mean, I don't follow your description of the Guantanamo
Jonathan?
very well.
So should the inmates at Guantanamo be allowed to have Wi-Fi access?
So that's what you're saying it is.
And the prison guards be allowed to have, like, shouldn't...
Well, I think it being in Cuba, they're not allowed to just tap into the Cuban internet. They probably have to supply it that way. I mean, in this day and age, you can't run anything without internet access. I mean, I doubt is this Wi-Fi for the prisoners? The Wi-Fi, do they have an internet cafe at Guantanamo?
I think so. I think that's what the issue was. I think it's that the prisoners were losing their internet access.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty nice prison to have internet.
I'm guessing every prison has internet.
Yeah, but you have like this time when you're allowed to go, and you get stood behind, and they read all your shit.
Yeah.
I don't really. I mean, so I don't really think if that's what it is.
The government do that anyway, according to y'all.
Yes.
So
private
What
companies.
does it matter? The government's watching this right now. They have the same rights as we do.
Well, DARPA,
They're all
DARPA, government
terrorists and rapists,
DARPA, a government,
drug users.
a government agency called DARPA created Google. So, I mean, technically, yeah, the government's watching this. But if they had their
Is this
if
using Google right
their
now?
Wi-Fi was
They were using
interrupted,
Google.
if their
Until
Wi
they take us down.
Tell they take us
if their Wi-Fi was
If you
interrupted,
didn't have my side of the story, then it's probably taken down immediately.
if their Wi-Fi was interrupted and it was the staff, I'd say that's a breach of security, and that's always something to worry about. But I don't really care if Anonymous hacks Guantanamo's internet access, and it's, you know, as much as I fear groups like that, I'm kind of happy Anonymous is around. So far, they seem to have been non-violent, and they bring these huge greedy companies and the government to their knees in kind of hilarious ways.
I don't think they've actually brought anyone to their
They
knees.
bring anybody to
Not to their knees like they made them collapse, but they're like, please stop doing this. Even though it's like, you know, I think it's a good little thorn in their side.
I mean, I think that Anonymous thinks they do more than they actually do.
I mean, I think that from what I've seen from them so far, I think it's good that they're around to kind of keep.
Who watches the watchers?
Yeah, exactly. They're about the best
Necessary evil.
hedge against the government, which is the current best monopoly on force that we have in existence.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a breach of security, but I can't say I care too much. It's probably a good breach of security. Information, more information making this place just seem like a terrible cesspool of inhumanity comes out, then I'm all for it. Which I'm sure it is.
The problem that I have is that they are probably fostering cybersecurity bills like CISPA being pushed through Congress.
Who is?
Like, I'm guessing Anonymous is the reason why there are bills like CISPA being pushed through Congress. I'm guessing part of the reason.
Yeah, part of them. But is the conspiracy you're going to go into that they were created so that there would be this boogeyman so that they would put the clamp down on?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Yeah, I can see that. But I also can see that it's not really what it is, but a loosely linked group like oh sweet, a lot of $1 bills. A loosely linked group like Anonymous, I could totally see would be just, you know, full of moles, full of double agents, full of government agents working in there as well. So it wouldn't even have to have been created. It would just have to have enough of those people. In fact, that's usually how the government works. Just getting enough of their guys in somewhere to change the course of it or to affect it in their direction.
Yeah, that could be the case.
Talking of
William, do you have any input?
I don't really follow with the Anonymous being a conspiracy thing. I'm not as much of a conspiracy nut as you, I guess, but I think it seems unlikely that the government would create such a uncontrollable entity
But could you see them filling it so much with molds and agents that they could move it in a direction? I mean, these are people who are anonymous. You don't really have to.
I would, without a doubt, think that they would have people within them. Considering though that it doesn't really have a hierarchy and it's basically just like a amorphous grouping of
Like your comforter, William.
hackers and stuff like that, I don't think that they could get enough moles in there to, unless they had like the smartest, most persuasive moles in there. I don't think they could have enough in there to actually change the course of it towards something that they would want.
So you think it's out of the question that through some way or another, a government entity or some elitist entity that uses the government for their ends could have, at least for this one maneuver where they take down those records, you don't think it could have at least been used for that? You think it's out of the question completely that the Guantanamo hacking was inside?
Yeah.
Desired?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Is anybody else watching this?
Yeah, we have one viewer,
Is it Song?
possibly.
Because they're all going to the archives. Soon we'll have millions of
It's either Song or
Jonathan, if you need to head out, you can head out.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go, guys. But it was really nice talking to you. Hey,
Hi.
how's it going?
All right.
All right, guys.
What a touching family reunion out there.
All right, well, thanks for joining us.
It's like
So
NPR.
So the second topic, yeah, that's like NPR. Except not state control.
Jesse's contribution to this was throwing a bunch of dollar bills in the air and then walking around and collecting them back up.
Okay, so the next topic
That doesn't happen
is
on NPR.
Adam Kokesh, who we brought up previously. I still haven't actually watched any of his stuff, but he was the guy that we were discussing, was going to lead an armed march on Washington on July 4th.
What an idiot.
And anyways, he's been arrested he was arrested at Philadelphia Smokeout
Thank God.
and charged with assaulting an officer.
They didn't
Did you watch
charge
the
him with
video?
treason or anything?
Yeah, I watched the video. I didn't see any actual.
I didn't see it. Yeah, he seemed to be not resisting at all.
Very, very
Was threatening
non-violent.
to have an armed march on Washington.
Well, I know, but they.
That's not what happened in the video that I'm guessing Jesse didn't watch.
No, I don't know who this cokehead person is. Whatever his name is.
I didn't know that was the same guy that we had been talking about before.
Oh yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
I mean, I
He
think
was actually disappeared. Technically, his whereabouts were unknown for a good 24 hours.
he was NDAA.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to bring it to light, or bring it up on this episode, is because I wanted to address the fact that unless he's released, I don't know that he's going to be able to have his march on Washington now.
Well, do you think he should be arrested?
Hopefully our one viewer has a lot of strings they can pull to get this guy out of custody.
Maybe they should send him to Guantanamo.
Who were you saying probably had a lot of strings to pull to keep?
Nothing. I said
William?
hopefully one viewer has a lot of strings they can pull to get this guy out. Now that Chance brought it to light.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, with the amount of attention this guy's been getting, there's gonna be a lot of people there to support him. But I think that they're probably looking to hold him at least until after the date.
He's threatening.
Yeah, we're threatening to have the armed march.
Do you think that's okay?
To have an armed march?
No, we hold him until the after July.
No, I
No, I don't think they should have never arrested him in the first place.
I don't think they have any grounds to arrest him in the first place.
He said he's going to.
I could go into specifics, Jesse, but the main reason why is because I don't want to live in society where people are pulled off the street and arrested like that.
Why don't you show
He's
Jesse?
threatening to
Show Jesse the video of the guy being carried away with his arms in the air when he hasn't done anything.
Okay. Yeah, let's pull up the video.
Sure.
See if Jesse approves of this.
It was at a smokeout. He didn't have any marijuana or paraphernalia on
So
him.
they just walked in and arrested him. And when they just charged him with this whole thing, an officer,
A federal agent.
rather than charging him with threatening to whatever that would be, probably treason.
How do I pull up the video on YouTube?
So that's better.
Do anything treasonous,
Threatening
Jesse.
to do.
I don't think it is treason to have an armed march on Washington.
Why?
Because it's not
Well,
actually
to
any
have
sort
a
of
gun.
declaration against Washington. It's American citizens
Why do you need to
exercising
be
their
armed?
rights.
And why do it be armed?
Because the whole thing is it's a march to show that they can be armed peacefully in defense of the Second Amendment.
What happens when one of them doesn't act peacefully?
Well, then that's a huge blow to anybody that's pro-Second Amendment, even
Right.
though
So
technically,
it's better if they just doesn't do it. That you know that's going to end badly.
well,
no matter what happens,
there's a
that will be
consensus going around here that it's good idea, bad timing, but it never would have come out of any other circumstances.
Right, but if that happened, if he did do that, somebody would fuck up on either side. I'm not saying it would be necessarily from his side either. I'm saying that,
A mole.
or no, but I'm saying someone could, one of the cops that's monitoring this armed march, which I think there should be cops monitoring a bunch of armed citizens.
William, how do I pull
walking
up the
down
video?
the street. What if they do something stupid?
Screen share.
He ends up dead because of this. What is that going to do? It's going to make
There are a
things worse.
million possibilities as to what could happen.
Right, but
Well,
you
the
think that's
video
going to
needs
end?
screen
You think
share.
what he's going to do would be have a positive result or a negative result?
Well,
So
I would hope that there would just be no result.
you
That
would
they would
hope.
show, hey, we did this, and then they'd all go home.
Okay. There you go.
And likely, we live in a world where there's somebody tampering with everything.
Right, so the government stopped him from doing that, which would
The sound cut out for me. Y'all sound cut out for me. I can't hear you.
This is a criminal act being committed by a man in a costume. Oh. That's not your fault. Yo, stop
I can't see what's on your screen.
Wait, you hold on? So there you have it.
What I'm saying that they stopped him from doing that, which would end badly. So he has to spend a couple months in jail.
But
Stop shit.
they stopped him from doing that in a completely illegal way, where at a completely different thing. This wasn't that march on Washington. This was a completely different
But
event.
why do you think they arrested him in the first place?
They
Well, to
stopped
stop him from doing that.
something
right.
that's not.
There are other ways to go about doing that. Maybe
There are
reach
other
out to them.
ways.
Maybe say, look, we understand that you want to do this. Let's sit down and talk, and maybe we can compromise. Maybe we can come up with a solution. You don't forcibly remove him from a place, throw him in a cell, and come up with some crack charge on him.
Apparently that is what you do.
Well, that's not what you do. And that's not what I agree that you should do, even given the circumstance of the armed march being potential. There are other ways to do things.
They could have handled it differently, but they didn't. But in the long run,
But
you
they
really
did
care-
it.
you
They
really
did
care
it.
that guy is there in jail.
I don't want it to happen anymore.
Yes,
and
I
if
care that
citizens
he's in
don't
jail.
talk about it, then things like this will continue to happen.
I care that he's in jail. He didn't do anything, Jesse.
He
Yeah.
was going to do something.
What if
that
it's
would've
you
been
one day?
bad.
No, we don't know that he was going to do anything.
He would have led
An
people
armed-
to an event where things would have gone badly and someone would have gotten hurt, more people would have gotten arrested, and this would
The event
be
hasn't
even
been
worse.
stopped yet. The
No, it
event's
hasn't.
still.
In fact, now there's probably going to be more support over it.
I would
In
like.
fact, that might be a great way to provocateur something.
Honestly, I
Get
was
these people pissed off because the guy who had the idea can't be there. So now there's there's venom running through their veins.
I think they shouldn't go.
Even though I still don't think they would do it. I think the person, if there's a crowd like that, the person most likely to do something like that would be the one guy that had his gun in the group that was never trained with a gun, probably already was a felon who was part of this parole.
Bad
And
people to that.
I don't
They're
necessarily
gonna
think
attract
it would.
crazies. There, a lot of those, 95% of them, I'm sure, just out there would be just supporting their Second Amendment rights and showing that they want the right that they can peacefully carry guns, and not everyone who carries guns goes out and kills people. But there are a few wackos out there.
To be fair, Jesse,
William?
in this case, if there is some guy who's a wacko out there, it's probably going to end pretty quickly because there's going to be about 95% of the other people armed there ready to stop.
Yeah, but it's still going to end with someone dying.
Well, not. I
Maybe
mean, first of all,
we're all shooting in the shin.
first of all, you're assuming that that's going to happen.
Yes, I'm assuming that will end badly. I think that's a pretty safe assumption.
I don't think it's a safe assumption. I think it's a fear to have about it, and that's what Kel and I were talking about.
I don't think it's a safe assumption because those people that are going know that there's the potential for there to be a provocateur. They're going to be on their guard to be on their best behavior.
I don't think it's wise to have two sides both armed.
Oh, only
Why?
one side then. That's
So
Fine.
having the police having guns, but American citizens not being allowed
Fine.
to
Take away all guns.
okay. And then China has guns, and nobody in America.
Criminals, the people who you don't want to have guns, the people who are going to go, I don't give a shit if y'all take away all the guns. I'm going to still have them myself. They're going to have them.
Yeah, Jesse, then criminals have guns.
Yeah.
They break the law for a living. They're not going to obey the law that gives them an edge.
And if they're getting a tool to kill, not for protection, they'll find another tool to kill.
That's true.
Via Luther, like I mentioned.
Or they'll just get illegal
Kills
guns.
people with knives, kills people with hammers, kills people
Would
with...
watch that online.
I mean, we could probably kill Jesse by stuffing all those $1 bills in his mouth.
Yeah.
You have to take them from me first.
I mean, on one episode
You're
of
not a
Luther,
stripper,
he
so your odds aren't very good.
one episode of Luther, he almost kills someone by putting a plastic bag over their head.
Remember how I killed that guy in American History X? Ugh.
The curb
No
stomp.
gun involved there.
You're referring to the curb stomp scene?
They're y'all have guns.
No. Carl won't let me own a gun.
Why do you want to own a gun?
The government and Carla won't let you own a gun.
You're,
It's not in this house.
No,
you're living on the edge, not having a gun in Austin, Texas. I'm gonna tell you, around every corner.
Dangerous town.
I mean,
The Wild West.
breaks down your door every day, bothering you. Stop it.
They got... Can we talk about the street light outside my house?
Well,
They got some... They got
got a
something...
camera.
There's something on the street light
You
outside
pull
my
up
house.
a picture of
That's
that.
probably
throw it
a
on.
camera
Yeah, I can try
to
to call
get
people.
people for speeding. That's probably what it is.
No, it's not in an intersection, Jesse.
Not an
It's a
intersection.
stoplight.
It's right outside of social agitator champion's house.
Good. I think you're dang. You could snap one day and go off and go shoot the mayor or something like that. I don't know that you're not capable of that. Maybe they should just lock you up for safekeeping.
How good of a friend are you of Chance if you don't know that he's not capable of that?
So throw
Yeah,
him in
why are you
jail.
friends with me, Jesse?
Because I think that would be amusing.
If I thought that one of my friends had the potential
I
to
used to go to
go
that guy's house all the
shoot the
time.
mayor, I don't know if I'd be friends with them for very long.
I would.
You would be friends with somebody who's a potential assassin?
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
If they always, never mind.
Travis Bickle.
They always have like free snacks at their house.
I guess I shouldn't say his name. First
If they're a really fun guy to be around, then yes, I'd be friends with a potential assassin.
Yes.
As long as I never found out that they're an assassin. As long as the status remains potential.
You don't want to be associated.
And that's only if they were really cool dudes.
Yeah, that.
Your potential assassin
Who's your
friend.
buddy? That's Craig.
A cool guy who doesn't actually kill
What's
anyone.
he do for a living? I don't really know. I have an idea of what he does.
He has a bunch of posters of the mayor with the crosshair on him.
Yeah. But he's also got a bunch of Bob Marley posters.
But Marley's dead too.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, wait a second.
Craig.
Crazy Craig.
Crazy Craig, the potential assassin.
Okay.
Alright, what's our next topic?
Topic number 3.
Topic number 3.
Obama,
Why is Jesse a bad person?
Obama Department of Justice formally accuses journalists in leak case of committing crimes. So, under U.S. law, it's not illegal to publish classified information. And along with the Second Amendment's guarantee of press freedoms, that's what has allowed the U.S. to have a freedom of the press. And so, basically, this is the first time that a executive, I guess the executive branch has accused a journalist of coercing people into providing leaked information,
I think I heard about that.
is basically
My other
every
wife
case
was
of,
talking about it.
which is basically every case of leaked journalism ever. So,
Isn't it a journalist's job, or at least interviewing just a journalist? Their job pretty much always to get people to dish over information. Isn't it kind of arbitrary what of that is classified and what isn't?
Yes. That is a journalist's job.
How dare they coerce somebody to get that information for a great story?
great skill.
So they're good at what they do. So they arrested that person, a good journalist.
They're
Is that what happened?
Indicting them
they're indicting them.
On what? Charges?
I guess charges of leaking classified information.
Charges of
solicitation.
classified information.
Is that illegal?
Isn't that more?
It's not illegal, Jesse.
And if it was, wouldn't it be more on the person
How
who
can they
gave
charge
up
them?
the information?
How can they?
They're charging both. They're charging both the person who gave up the information and the journalist
What
who is
kind of-
soliciting.
What is the punishment for such acts, which aren't apparently illegal, but yet they're able to charge them with something?
Imagine
These
unprecedented.
people, it's probably like you lose some of your shares in the company.
They're trying to charge them with years in prison, multiple years in prison.
Right. Well, that's the max. You never. I mean, come on.
People like this don't actually go to prison. They go for like a showcase prison stay. Like Valerie Flames, she's in prison. Can you believe that? It's not like a real one. It's like we're gonna throw you in prison, and it's gonna really get things heated.
I mean,
I don't really feel that way.
a person that, like, I don't know that this James Rosen, I don't know that he's necessarily high enough up to be immune from like a prison. Like, what makes you think that he wouldn't go to prison?
You have a lot of monitors.
Is Rosen the journalist or is Rosen the?
Yeah, Rosen's the journalist.
What department did they get these the information from? The CIA? And I'm assuming this is all surrounding the Benghazi situation.
What's Benghazi? Is that a person or the strip?
It's a band, Ian McKay, and
No, this is about
Benghazi is a city in Libya.
Right. Okay. And that was also a person there who was the same. There could be someone with the last name Benghazi. Probably.
I'm pretty sure there is.
Why would this city was named for in the first place?
Yeah, Jerry Benghazi.
Oh, that's the Gaza Strip.
Yeah, it wasn't Benghazi. This has to do with Korea, South Korea, and North Korea.
Okay, that's in the Koreans.
But
Oh, it could have been.
he
Sarah
was
or
okay. But it
Sean.
was State Department advisor
Do we
Stephen
have any
Kim,
viewers right now?
and one viewer,
Could be Soren or Sarah.
probably Sandra.
Or Soren. Most likely.
I keep saying his name.
Why does that matter?
I don't want his name.
I'm here with Kelber Dan.
I guess he's
Jamie
on
Cooper,
Facebook,
Jesse Hogan,
yeah.
and William Cooper.
I guess we're all on Facebook. It doesn't matter.
Jesse Hotel.
Jesse Hotel.
Hotel.
Might start working at a hotel.
Tell us about that, Jesse.
I met a guy at poker the other night. I told him I just quit my job, and he said, "Well, you should come be a valet." I might do that for a while. It'll be interesting.
You know,
Right.
start
How
a
much you get paid?
I don't know.
poker game in the
Lost
hotel.
like $600 in a couple days, so he obviously thinks it's good chunk of change. Of course, I lost $600 in the last 3 times I've done it too. So
I'd like to keep $600.
I know. But luckily, that's all in the books, basically. I just get to work for
We're
free.
talking about this on air.
What are you talking about? I didn't say where it is.
It's talking about Boardwalk Empire.
There's nothing,
Plot
HBO
of
show,
Boardwalk
there's
Empire.
nothing wrong with a group of friends getting together and playing poker.
I don't know,
That
Jesse.
isn't against the law.
I don't know, Jesse. That
It isn't. As long as the house isn't taking a raid, then it's not illegal. Or there's no money on the table, it's not illegal.
okay. Well, you're the one talking about it. So
Right. That's true.
if you ever get raided,
Why would I get raided?
Because there's that thing on his streetlight.
We're not
Yeah, there's
doing
a thing on my
anything
streetlight.
illegal. Just like that guy who got hauled off in Philadelphia or wherever.
Yeah, no, you're gonna be next, and suddenly your world will be turned around.
upside down.
I'm not threatening to play poker armed and then do it in front of the White House.
With Ryson.
With-
You're not gonna play poker with Ryson labeled cards.
No.
Let's go back to that, though. I mean, even if this was just a guy lighting up at a big rally where people light up, do you really have to deal with people smoking like that, smoking weed like that? I mean, do you really have to put that much force into stopping some guy from getting high?
I mean, but-
that much force.
But the thing is,
They didn't beat him or anything.
it was like a national smoke down event anyways. It's like,
No,
why didn't they
no,
arrest any of the people that were actually
Yeah, I
lighting
know.
up?
You know what I'm saying?
Why did they arrest
even,
Adam
even if,
Kokesh?
even if they did, what would be the point in going up to a guy that's high and be like, "Yo, knock it off," and like tackling him and stuff?
I mean-
Assert your authority as a police officer.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that to anybody else. They did it to the guy. Who
No, later
Yeah,
he didn't
on-
show the whole video. Later they carried one other guy off.
Yeah, they carried one other guy up, the organizer, but they didn't actually arrest any of the people that were smoking.
Okay. So what's the problem?
So that's what's illegal.
Right, but they didn't bother those people smoking.
But Adam
Yes, there
Kokesh
was
didn't
a
do
little
anything,
victory.
Jesse.
He did do something. He was going to do something.
He was going to do something.
You don't arrest people for saying they're going to do
If you,
things,
say
Jesse.
you can, if you say you're going to kill the president, they can arrest you for that.
He didn't say that.
He didn't say that, though.
He didn't. But he did say he was going to do something bad. Yep.
He said he was
I'm
going
gonna go do some heroin.
He
Maybe
said
they can arrest me the next time I go to a whatever it's smoke-out rally. I don't think they'll be in
he said he was going to march with, he said he was going to march armed up to a point where police stopped him and turned him back.
and then turn back.
And he would turn back if they turned him back, is what he said.
And where did he say this?
Online.
On what line? Like
On his
where?
website, on his Adam versus
What is
the Man.
he? What is okay? He has a website, so he's a rabble rouser, right? Basically,
Yes.
he's a rabble rouser.
He's a I guess, social activists.
Social activists.
Occasionally, the rabble needs some rousing, Jesse.
Maybe it does. That's why we're all here at memeideas.com.
Well, one of us seems to think that it never does, and it's okay to stamp it out right in the inception of it.
Yeah.
Ahead of time.
Y'all just worry about it. I feel like it's hurting your lives that you worry about all this stuff too much.
I only worry about it.
I feel like it's enriching my life.
Yeah.
And I feel involved in this world.
Right.
And I have a stake in it.
Yeah, I like being involved in the world around me, Jesse.
I would like the world to be better when I'm dead than
What?
it is now.
Well, William?
I would like the world to be better as I go through life. I would like it to continually get better.
I agree.
It's getting better. Y'all don't agree with me, but that's nothing new.
Well,
yeah, I mean, okay,
we do-
okay. That next topic for discussion is the world getting better
Yes. End of discussion.
Jesse
in
and
all aspects? Is the world getting better in all aspects?
That's not really fair in all aspects.
Is the
I-
government maintaining Guantanamo Bay, where there are people who have not been charged with anything for years, being held and on hunger strike and being force-fed? Is that a good thing? Is that making the world
I
a
don't
better
know. I
place?
actually don't know whether that's a good thing or not.
If we shut it down, it would probably be a better thing.
About the end of their sentence, and they can go have their hunger strike on their own time.
When's the end of their sentence, Jesse?
Yeah, they're held indefinitely.
Yeah.
Well,
When's-
then indefinitely doesn't mean forever. It
When's
just
the end of their
means
sentence?
undefined amount
This
of
means
time.
maybe forever.
Could be today, could be never. You never know. That's the beauty of indefinite. The Duncan's out indefinitely with a broken toe. You never know.
Is he really?
No. He's in sports too. The Spurs are winning, by the way.
Sure they.
I mean, I think overall, you seem to think like people in the government are like evil or something, and they do all this stuff on purpose to like purposefully hurt us and lock people away. I think they're doing it with good intentions. They may be wrong with a lot of things that they do, but I think that they're doing their best. Maybe their best isn't good enough.
What do you?
Their best involves the potentially you one day getting pulled and thrown into a wagon and held indefinitely.
Okay.
Disappearing.
In the long run, as much as I care about myself and I would be upset about it, will the world really miss me that much? I mean, yeah. Around this circle, you guys probably think it was funny because you'd be like, ha,
We showed him.
We showed him.
He should have cared more
All that
about.
Matters is that
So one
you're
person
gone. It doesn't
gets
matter what
locked
the
up
world
sometimes.
thinks. It matters that you're an existing human being with your own rights.
Right, but my rights, I mean, you got to play your role in this little society that we have. Maybe my role is that I have to be locked up in Guantanamo Bay and force-fed soup.
Here we go, Jesse.
And you're okay with that, Jesse? You're okay with that being your role?
But, I mean, I guess I'm okay with it.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're not, Jesse. This is where the conservative or libertarian mindset differs from the liberal mindset, or I guess the bottom-up approach to governance versus the top-down approach. Is that if you're okay with, like, whenever we have a disagreement on something, when I have a disagreement with you, it doesn't affect your life. When you have a disagreement with me, it does affect my life. Because you use the force of the state to
Well, I don't use.
force me. Yes, you do.
Oh, when we argue and stuff?
Yes,
Because I'm always arguing on the state side.
yes. I mean, you're for are you for the IRS?
Well,
Are you
we
for
gotta
income
raise
tax?
money somehow.
Are you for income tax?
Yes.
Okay,
I think it's necessary.
it's a forced tax.
It is a forced tax. You act like everything that's the fucking out there is just supposed to be given to you, and you don't have to do anything for it. There are sacrifices that have to be made. You disagree. You don't think that you should have to pay income taxes, or
What if I don't pay the income tax,
I
Jesse?
mean, if you work for yourself, then it's voluntary. And if you don't pay, then they'll throw you in jail.
Then they'll throw you in jail.
Right. Or actually, they won't throw you in jail, but they'll garnish your wage.
Yeah, but what happens if they garnish? What if I don't let them garnish my wages?
Well, then they'll probably throw you in jail.
So is that voluntary,
Okay,
Jesse?
is that voluntary?
No.
Okay.
So fine, he was lying, or he misspoke. Or we say,
I guess that's
Side
a
of the
really
state.
polite way of putting it.
he misspoke.
He had a slip
That's
of the
not-
tongue
That's-
when he
his intentions were good, but his
Okay, Jesse, here are the pictures of my
okay, that looks like a street light. Did you take these pictures? You
Yeah.
boy, weirdo. What is it's a street light?
What is this thing, Jesse?
What do you mean what is what thing?
You zoom in, it looks like you have zoom capability.
I don't know if I can zoom in or not. What is this thing?
That's a
down
wire.
Here. Yeah, what is that? What is this thing over here?
I don't know, champ.
And what is this thing over here?
Jesse, what you're looking at is paranoia.
That's outside my house. It's right next to my house.
Move then.
Maybe I should, but in the meantime, what is that?
Hear that, Carly? You're moving.
Chip, if you move and that moves with you, then I'll agree that there's
not one where you
something
move
to
to,
this.
and then a couple weeks later there is one of those, whatever that is. Maybe
Wait.
Maybe that's an anti-cancer thing. Maybe that's somehow preventing you from getting cancer.
Hold on,
Think about
hold on.
that.
One thing that I posited is that the house next door to ours is boarded up, and there's a lot of shady activity that goes on around.
People like, what's it called? In there.
There are people that sit in front of the house, like park in front of the house. Like I could believe it's a drug house or something.
A crack house.
A crack house. Okay, so even if they're monitoring that, is that okay? If I'm next door,
I think it's a good idea that they monitor that.
if I'm next door to it, I'm in potentially peripheral.
I mean, they're monitoring it for your safety. They're monitoring it so that that crack house doesn't come into your house and
First,
they don't fuck with you.
first of all, if crack was made legal, they wouldn't have to monitor it to begin with.
I think they should probably still monitor it, even if it was legal.
They probably monitored a lot more, but
Yeah.
they just wouldn't have illegal activity to monitor. The way you should have brought that up was if crack was legal, this house wouldn't exist at all. They would monitor crack, but they'd monitor it by being like, here's your crack, where you come back and get it next week unless you think about maybe being a better person. I want that job, by the way. I want the job where you hand out the legal drugs, but also demean them.
Judgmental crack
You could be a drug dealer now.
Here's your heroin. Sorry that you're not a stronger person.
I make you feel bad about buying it.
What, William?
Every time the heroin addicts came.
I was just going off.
Here it is. No, it's not going to feel as
No
good
one's
as the
watching
first
this
time.
fucking thing.
You want to give me your NA chip back? Oh yeah, we take those as
Wow, it's 46 to 30 there.
currency here.
Tell you what, if you want to go back to the old-fashioned way, I'll sell you this week. You give me your NA chip, and I'll give you the heroin. Yeah. Be a good job. Probably get a tase gun, just in case they ganged up on you. I'm sure I'd be behind some sort of glass.
Wait, are we talking about if crack and heroin is legal?
Yeah. If you were the crack and heroin hander-outer,
That'd be good.
But it's legal?
if it were, yeah. If it were, and I
Why
would,
would they break through the glass and it's legal?
because they get into a super frenzy, where they just, they just really want it collectively.
Because they're taking bath salts or something?
No, just, they're out of control.
Okay.
I'm not moving along fast enough or something, and the line's getting long, and they're just getting pissed, and they start banging against the glass.
Okay.
They really
You
want
want glass.
An unbreakable glass.
Right. interact.
The bars they can get their hands through. They'll take 2 rocks.
Final
And then the
topic,
guy behind will see him and be like, how come he got 2 rocks? But he reached his hand through. The glass is better.
final topic for discussion for this evening. What is your view of what reality really is? What is reality?
We're all matter. We're all pieces of matter, some that are developed in completely different and more intelligent ways.
So what's matter?
Matter is substance made of substance made of substance made of substance until you get down to where it's just wave upon wave upon wave upon wave. But the matter that was created by the waves, the frictional waves, those that created the matter of which we are, the matter gets more and more intelligent, more and more developed over time. And what we've done as humans, as the only species that has awareness of ourselves and has awareness of our own end and can reflect back upon ourselves, we created memory. We created memory as a way to augment our reality. And so our reality, whereas everything else is from the rock to the raccoon, is kind of this, they're being lived through because time is passing through them. We've created memory in the illusion that we pass through time. And our memory and our great data banks that we collectively share help us move forward by grabbing onto different referential points that the other species can't.
There are species that can recognize themselves and have...
But not in the same way. Their memory is all for survival. Their memory is all pattern recognition. And those that seem a little ahead of that are because they're evolving towards the point that we've already gotten. And because we made that leap first, they never will get there. This is how it goes. One species doesn't watch the other.
The dolphins get too advanced.
By one making that quantum leap, it renders it impossible for the other kind to, because the other kind views it and affects it and makes it impossible for them. But I think that memory has been, we create memory and we use memory, and our memory is created by a part of our brain that we actually haven't really done research into. It's more like a gland that kind of retains the actual image and the feelings. But you can never really relive the moment. And part of the evolution towards this great creative memory was the initial shock when the realization suddenly came into humankind that you can't relive an event. It was the most traumatizing and destructive notion to the first passionate human beings who felt things beyond just base needs and wants. The fact that you couldn't relive a pleasure and the fact that you were going to meet an end was destructive. So the memory started being created, and through the memory, the more expansive it gets, the more unlimited the possibilities on our horizon seem. I don't know, it's hard for me to explain what it is, but the more I think about memory and perception, the more I think that has more to do with reality, and that memory and perception aren't really these things that are moving around, but they're rather these illusions that we've created. And we tend to think of them only as our thoughts and images running through our brains, but they're really more powerful than that because we all share them, and they are actually the reference points which define our external reality. Everything that we're actually seeing out there is really just a reference point from our memory that we then organize, that our matter, our bodies took and organized in its own way. But it's an incredible, powerful tool that we have. Unfortunately, it also makes us, it's also a great weakness, because to some respect, the raccoons and the frogs and the rocks and the trees are perfect because they have everything they need and they live in perfect symbiosis with nature and with the natural order of things. We broke away from that to some extent. I mean, we're part of the natural order, but because we broke away from it and we looked at it and we technically separated ourselves from it, we became imperfect. We became the flawed ones. And so I think everything that we're doing is actually trying to reach a point where we can get back into that. Or, if not that, we're sort of the gods and the creators who create that symbiosis. It's long and expansive, and it's not written down. It's taken from a bunch of different things I've researched. Technically, I think time is an illusion. Space isn't necessarily an illusion. Time is, our memories cause us to think that we're going through something.
Do you need to drink?
There's water.
Make that up.
Purified, too.
You have sparkling water?
William,
What?
What were you saying?
Did you just make that up, or is that something you thought of?
No, I just said that I've been thinking about all these things pretty much my whole life.
Okay.
I had a before I even realized that I had a penchant for metaphysics, because I thought about my thoughts all the time. I thought, why am I thinking this? Why do I get to be here and not somewhere else? You know, initially as a young and smart person, you do want to run towards a god or a deity figure because you, and I said a young and impressionable smart person. I think if you're ignorant, you wouldn't want to run towards a god because you wouldn't be thinking about the right thing. You'd be thinking about your base right in front of you needs. But the intelligent people, they, from a young age, they start looking up and beyond and saying, you know, why am I here? Everybody, to some extent, does that. And my years and years of doing that and reading different things and thinking about things and learning about things have brought me to this so far. In 10 years, it'll probably be altered and clipped and moderated, and there will be some new notions. But I think, you know, what are we if not everything that our memories have given us?
I agree with Kel. That was very well put. Actually,
I think it could be it could be better put. I just
that's pretty good.
yes, you know, working stiff. You say you're gonna, I'm gonna write more. I'm gonna do those things I used to do. It gets harder and harder to do. Although I found some really great esoteric theories by this guy who was I don't know what he did initially, but towards the end of his, he was like an engineer. But towards the end of his life, he went through some. He desperately wanted to relive a moment of seeing an opera singer, and he started to become obsessed with the idea of memory. He actually made like these physical charts of the way he felt about memory. And without going too deeply into it, he kind of separated the moments that we live through from the moments that kind of live through us. He never uses that language. He uses a lot of charts and geometry. But when you think about it, you have these habitual things. Like, let's say there's these things that I do every day at work. I'm not going to go too into detail because I really don't want to mention anything about what I do. But let's just say there's a form that I fill out every day. And I do it every day and every day and every day. I don't remember a single really one of those forms, really, except for the ones with maybe a funny name or something that was peculiar about it. But I do it thousands upon thousands of times. I don't remember them anymore because all I really need to remember is the process of doing it. But if that one day you didn't go to work, but instead you went water skiing, it was just a great water skiing day, you were doing all these tricks, you remember the smells and the feeling of that. You remember the way the sky looked and little details about a glimmer of light coming off of the horizon on the water. You remember all these things and you live through that. And he doesn't go into moralizations or talking about ways people should live. But the way I started to think about it was you shouldn't, even if you have to make a living or to get through your day, have to do things like fill out those forms. You should never take advantage of those individual moments and let them just pass through as a process. You should always find a way to make that something that you'll remember. And it seems overwhelming and you forget yourself all the time. But if you're constantly living like that, I think you're constantly getting smarter and more perceptive. And actually, because I think happiness pretty much derives from living your life and trying new things and going through experiences, turning those into those processes into experiences that you live through rather than they live through you, I think it just makes your life better, period. And I do think part of not reality, but part of life is moving towards joy and pleasure, not always constantly having those. But I do think that you can actually create those out of things that you're conditioned to not think are pleasurable, and that's what actually makes life more and more endurable, more and more something you crave, is when you're able to transform what seems mundane or what seems negative or what seems boring into an actual pure experience. What do you guys think about reality? Or if you want to comment on what I said, you can.
I agree with the last part about spending every moment that you have trying to make it unique, because there's evidence that like our brains work and grow basically through new experiences, like the brain-derived neurotrophic factors, which are basically stimulated by new experiences. So anything that you do differently in any situation is probably anything that you can do to make a situation different or make a situation unique, even if it's something you've done before, it will stimulate growth factors to basically make your brain grow and work better. So in that regards, I agree with that. I have my own interpretation about reality. I was going to let William go next.
William, let's hear it.
Reality?
What's your interpretation, Champ?
What's mine?
Yeah.
Mine is that there is probably the best explanation I've read, which I haven't finished reading the book. It's probably something I should finish reading, but there's basically a source field, that there's some other universe or world or external, like basically our universe is a closed system, which is why functions can work the way that we expect them to, like mathematics and physics can work the way that we expect them to, because we live within a closed system that is projected from somewhere else. So there's some other universe or some other, like, externally outside the universe, something that is projecting wavelengths that we interpret as everything that is reality.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Are you broadcasting this?
Yes.
I know that it
Yes.
I can't find it.
Oh, it's not on Meme Ideas yet. It's on YouTube.
I know that probably a problem that a lot of people see with my theory about, that basically that we live in reality rather than, like, I guess what my theory basically alludes to is that we only recognize reality, but everything else kind of lives in reality. We recognize it. I know a problem with what I'm talking about is, well, where do we emerge from? Because everything seems to have an emergent property coming from. So I kind of, the more I think about it, the more I go back to thinking that this probably can be welded to your theory that we come from unseen forces, and it's not that they're unseen because we don't see them. They're unseen because they can't be seen, because they aren't part of matter. They come from beyond matter. Matter is actually something that's, basically, matter is there for beings and things that are still flawed and still imperfect, but something is able to free itself from that. And I think that those things are things that we can only really kind of halfway find in wavelengths, sound waves, light waves, things like that. But it won't. Maybe I just think that because wavelengths are the best sort of reference we have for those beyond matter properties. But yeah, something from beyond the physical realm is what we came from, and I'm not even saying that beyond the physical realm necessarily is an active player in how we are currently, but it's kind of what was the basis for matter growing out of it.
I mean, yeah, so I think there's something beyond this world that is, because I felt things that are beyond this world in my personal experiences through life, so whether you want to describe it as a god or something, like basically what I term as God is being something outside of the known universe that we have. Anything that functions outside of the known universe, and the laws of nature, the laws of physics, the laws of mathematics that we know that function in perpetuity, like function at all times, I know that there's something. I felt something beyond that kind of everyday normal functioning. That I believe that there is something beyond it, and you can term it what you want to. But that basically, that's the best way I can describe it. Is that as this is wavelengths projecting onto
What you felt? That was Jesus.
mm-hmm.
How
William.
do you feel, William?
I mean, I'm not going to be able to give you much of a different description than what y'all just described. I would say a fairly simplistic way of putting it would be that I mean, it's basically going to be the same thing Champ just described. There's something beyond what we can see, measure, feel, be exposed to, from which all life, matter, all those things come from, that has created the universe, created life, created our intelligence and the like. And I don't, kind of like what Kel said, I don't necessarily think, and I mean, it's something that I would say is what pretty much everybody deems God. And I don't think it's necessarily a sentient single entity that is omnipotent or constantly meddling with our lives. It's something that created us and kind of sent us off on our own, and we're basically all connected to each other in the sense that we've all come out from this outer realm into this one. We have this connection between all of us that extends back out to that other realm, whatever it is, that God realm or whatever it is, something like that. And I think the simplest way I would describe it would be something like, if we created a video game, that video game has little characters that live in it, and it has rules that it lives by, and that sort of thing. And it has, the person playing it who's sort of the overarching god of that thing that sort of rules the morals and ethics and connections between the players. And that's kind of, I would say, like a microcosm example of what I would see as reality, which is basically that on a grander scale.
Jesse?
Any input?
What is reality? Like, what is all this shit?
Yeah.
I don't know. Random things that worked out pretty well for me, I guess. I'm alive. And I can watch basketball on my phone. Pretty cool. I'm not really worried about it. And that I've gotten a lot stupider than I've gotten older. I discovered that.
I think what we discussed tonight is an example of how Jesse's gotten stupider, we've gotten smarter, and we've aged. Jesse is
Completely lost all focus with
Jesse is
what's right or wrong.
Jesse
has decided to live his life and be satisfied with breads and circuses.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that. Freedom of choice.
Yeah. There's anything wrong with it.
I did, however, once tell my girlfriend that I was not a racist, I was just a decisionist, where I was against people who constantly made poor decisions. But Jesse's always chosen to remain my friend, so that's a damn good decision. Actually, Jesse is really just an actor from a community group. No.
On that note, I guess we can call it a night.
Go listen to Daft Punk. Happy Daft Punk Day, everybody.
What's the minute Rick's tonight?
Random access memories.
Random access.
Hey, what I was just talking about.
Can't beat that.
It's also Tuesdays.
It's also Tuesdays in Barbarella.
Tuesdays.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, it's full of straight guys and straight girls, but they call it Tuesdays.
There's a lot of gay guys there.
There are a lot of gay guys there, but
And there's a lot of lesbians.
oh.
Guys. I mean,
Okay.
guys are fine, but Jesus, I hate lesbians.
We don't really hate lesbians, we're just really sarcastic.
All right, that's the end of the broadcast.